Assalamualaikum everybody, welcome to your tutorial for CS100. Our agenda for today is flowcharts and if statements. So by the end of this video, you should have complete clarity and grasp on both of these concepts. Okay, so starting off with flowcharts. What exactly are flowcharts? Flowcharts, you can say, are visual roadmaps of your program. They show the flow of data and logic that you've used in your program. And before writing code and jumping to directly to coding it, it's good that you plan out your code first using flowcharts. It's just simply a diagram that shows the steps or decisions that you've taken in a process. And to make these flowcharts, we have 4 preset symbols or shapes that we use. The first shape is an oval. We also have a rectangle. Then we have a parallelogram. And finally, we have the diamond shape. So what exactly do these shapes mean and when do we use each of these? The oval symbol essentially tells you where the program is starting or ending. So it indicates the start-stop point of the program. The rectangle shows the process, and within the process, by process we mean any assignment or arithmetic operations are part of process. We also have the parallelogram, which is used for input or output, and in C++ we know that we use cin and cout for input output. So essentially all your cin couts go here. And finally we have the diamond. So this may be new for some of you, but this is for decision, and the if statements, all our if statements fall under decision. We will look at what if statements are further on in this tutorial. Okay. So this was a little bit about the basics of flowchart. We will also learn how to draw flowcharts and how to actually apply them on programs. First, let's look at what if is. So if statements or if is used when you want to allow your program to make a decision. Any decision when your program has 2 possible routes or 2 possible outcomes and your program has to choose one of them, you use an if condition. A very simple example is if I say that if someone has marks greater than 50 in a course, the program should output pass. If they have marks less than 50, the program should do nothing. Less than or equal to 50, suppose, it should do nothing. Now, if we have to map this, suppose you also have to input marks at the start. If we have to map this very simple piece of pseudocode into actual flowchart, so how will we do that? First off, we need to make the start stop symbol because our program is starting now. So let's start off with the start symbol. And then we have to input our marks. So this statement will map on to the flowchart in the form of a parallelogram because that's what we use for input output. Right? So we say input marks. Then we have the next statement which says marks greater than 50. So this is now a condition and the program has to make a decision at this point. And for decision, as you saw above, we use the diamond shape, right? So here we will attach a diamond and we will simply write marks greater than 50. If they are greater than 50, we want to print pass. If it's less than equal to 50, we do nothing. So now this Diamond will have two branches. Suppose it has a yes branch. It also has a no branch. And in the yes branch, we know that we have to print pass. So if we have to output something, we use a parallelogram as we saw above. For input output, we use a parallelogram. And so we attach a parallelogram here. And we say we want to print pass if the condition becomes true. And if it does not become true, we do nothing. So essentially we are stopping the program here, right? And after printing pass, we are again stopping the program. So we link it here, and this essentially completes our flowchart for this piece of code. If you run it, if you dry run it, you can see that first you start the program, then you input some marks. It could be, for example, you input 25. You go on to the next block and you see marks greater than 50. No, 25 is not greater than 50. So you go to the no branch and you reach stop. Your program ends and there's nothing outputted on your terminal. In contrast, if you start again and this time you do not enter 25, you enter 75, let's suppose, and it checks the condition marks greater than 50, it says yes. So then pass will be printed on your terminal and then the program will end. I hope that is clear. Okay, now we have a flowchart for this. We now just need to convert this into if statements or basic CPP code. Okay, C++. Okay, so assume we have an int main here. Okay, let me just write the int main so that it's more clear. Okay, suppose we have int main here. And then we have return 0. Okay, so we now have to convert this into code. What will be the first step? सबसे पहले we see we have to start the program. We know that execution starts in main, so that's fine. Then we need to input marks. That's also fine. So first we prompt the program. So we say cout, input your marks. And then we simply take an input in marks. And before this, we also have to declare an integer variable called marks. Okay, so now in the marks variable, we have taken some input from the user. Okay, so this part is done. Now we move on to the decision part where we have to check if marks greater than 50. For that, we use a simple if condition. If, and then in round brackets, we specify the condition, which is marks greater than 50. And after writing this, we start the if code block, which is cout pass. Okay, so in case anyone is confused at this point and is not understanding what's happening, so I'll run through this code that I've written. I initially declared a variable called marks, an integer variable, and then I prompted the user to input their marks. I take input of the marks through cin inside the marks variable. And then to check the condition that is in this diamond that says marks greater than 50, I am simply writing if, and then in round brackets I specify the condition, which is marks greater than 50. And finally, inside the if code block that is specified by these curly braces, I enclose the output statement, which is cout pass, that essentially says that you have to print pass to the terminal. Once this is done, I do not need to cater for the condition if marks are less than or equal to 50 because my flowchart doesn't cater for it. And so I can simply stop the program, and so I return 0 and end the main function. I hope it is clear up till this point. If it is, we can then move on to if else. Okay, now suppose if we are to say that we want to modify this existing flowchart a little bit. This flowchart that we have, if you want to modify it a little bit, what we do is you want to add a condition for the no part as well. Let's modify this, and I'll add the modified part in a different color. So, okay. So if we already know that if marks are greater than 50, we want to print pass, and if, for example, marks are less than equal to 50, suppose we want to print fail. So again, since we want to print something, we use a parallelogram and we write print fail here. Now we know that if marks are greater than 50, it will print pass. If marks are less than or equal to 50, or if this condition essentially becomes false, then we print fail. And after printing fail, it will simply end the program because there's nothing more to do. So it will print stop, and this will also link to that. The program will end. So this is like a very minor change in our flowchart, but this will also have an impact on our actual CPP code, right? So let's look at how our C++ code will change. Okay, so if we have to write now the C++ code for this, let's start from the start of the flowchart. So the program is starting, then you have to input marks. So marks are declared, marks are being input, and then we check the condition. If marks are greater than 50, you see out pass. Suppose if marks are not greater than 50, or if they're less than equal to 50, you have to print fail. One possible way of doing that is to add another if condition. Just a second. Okay. So you add another if condition and you say if marks are less than equal to 50, and then you write cout fail, right? This is one way to go about it, and this will give you the correct answer. It will not give you if it won't give you an incorrect answer. But there is a slight issue that we'll face with this, and let's look at what that issue could be. Suppose someone has entered marks that are 70, and you're running this code now. So it has entered, it checks this condition, and this condition is true, so it outputs pass to the terminal. Now, is there any possibility that in that same run of the program, you also manage to print fail, or you also manage to make this condition true? No, because both of these conditions are mutually exclusive. Either marks can be greater than 50 or they can be less than equal to 50. They can't be both at the same time. So by using two separate if conditions for these, it essentially means कि अगर आपके program ने pass output कर दिया है, it will still go and check this new if condition कि are my marks less than equal to 50? And there's no need to check this condition because we already know that the first condition has become true and it has outputted pass to the terminal. So there's no way that the second condition can ever become true, right? So since these are mutually exclusive conditions, we simply do not use another if. We can just use an else block. So yes, so let's just get rid of the if. Instead, we use else, and inside the else we write cout fail. Now what this will do is, okay, if the first condition becomes true, if the if condition becomes true, it will print whatever is in the code block, or it will execute whatever statements that we've written in the if code block, which is enclosed by these curly braces. In case this condition becomes false, then it will automatically go and execute everything that is in this else block. It will not even check anything else. It will just automatically execute everything in the else block. And for example, if I input marks that are 20, it will see the first condition. It will see if marks are greater than 50, and this condition will become false. So it will automatically go and execute everything in this else block. So what will be outputted to the terminal? Fail, because it will execute all of these lines and it will print fail to the terminal. And so this solves our first problem as well. If the first condition becomes true, it will never execute the else part. If the first condition does not become true, it will automatically execute the else part. I hope it's true, it's clear till this point. If there are any questions, you can let me know in the comments, I guess. Okay. Um, right. So moving on to, we've already seen if and if else. Let's also see if and else if. Okay. So suppose I give you another modification of the same question. If marks are greater than 50, you print pass. If marks are less than 50, you print fail. And if marks are equal to 50, you print, suppose, what can you print in this scenario? Okay, you print neutral. Okay, just for a trial. Okay. Okay, so suppose now we have to modify our code according to this question. Currently, if we have marks greater than 50, the program will output pass. If we have marks less than 50, it will output fail. But if you have marks equal to 50, it will still output fail, right? It is not checking if the marks are equal to 50 or if they're less than 50. It's directly just going to the else part and outputting the block. So how will you modify our code in this scenario? Okay, so first we need to cater to this condition. Okay, print fail only if marks are less than 50, not if marks are equal to 50, right? So with this else block, let's also specify the condition. We now need to specify a tiny condition with this else block. So we say else if marks are less than 50, then go to the else block and output fail. And uske baad, let's see, we add another else here. Just a second, if you're confused, I will explain it. Just let me. Okay, so what's happening here essentially? We wanted to check if marks are greater than 50, it already prints pass. If marks are less than 50, it should print fail. So we say if marks are greater than 50, see out pass. Else if marks are less than 50, see out fail. And so in with this change that we've added, like this extra condition that we've added, this will ensure that it only outputs fail if marks are less than 50 and it does not output fail if marks are equal to 50, right? Initially, the code that we had was also outputting fail if marks were equal to 50. So this condition helps us get rid of that problem. And now we have this added condition कि if marks are equal to 50, we need to print neutral. So we know कि we have catered to all scenarios. अगर marks 50 से ज़्यादा हैं तो automatically pass आ जाएगा, 50 से कम है automatically fail आ जाएगा. There's just one scenario that we haven't catered to, and that is marks equal to 50. So you just simply write else and then you write C out neutral, because else में वो आएगा ही तभी जब आपके marks equal to 50 होंगे. There is no other scenario in which it will come to else, because अगर कोई भी और value है 50 के अलावा कोई भी और value है तो it will fall in either this block, this first if block, or the else if block. It will only come to else if the marks are equal to 50. And in that case, we want to print neutral, so it's printing neutral. I hope it's clear till this point. Okay, so now that we're done with this as well, So let's see. If we want to convert this into flowchart, we'll have to modify our flowchart a little bit, right? For this, let's see how we can make a flowchart out of this. Let's make a new flowchart for this. Okay, so first off, we need to again start our program. Then you input marks as we did previously as well. After you've inputted marks, you need to check the first condition, which is if marks are greater than 50. If suppose your marks are greater than 50, you make one branch with the yes output and you say print pass, and for printing we use parallelograms. Okay, if suppose your marks are less than 50, you make a no branch. Even if it's like less than equal to 50, it will still go in the no part, right? Because it will only go to yes if marks are greater than 50, and for all other scenarios it will go to the no part. And within the no part, now we have another condition that says if marks are less than 50. So we again make a diamond, marks less than 50. We again have two branches. So in case marks are less than 50, then we have a parallelogram that says print fail. And if marks are not less than 50, now there's only one scenario left, and that is if marks are equal to 50. And so in that case, we are saying you can simply output neutral. So this is the updated flowchart, and of course you also have to end the program. So just add in an oval shape at the end to end it, and combine all the other arrows as well. Okay, I hope that made sense and is clear to everybody. One last concept that is left now is the nested if. So nested if is used when you want to nest one if into another if. That essentially means that if you have a condition, for example, okay, so I'll just give a small example first. Yeah. So suppose someone is here to ask for a bank loan. Okay, and you can only give them a loan if they're above the age of 21. So greater than age 21. And if they have a bank balance of 10,000 PKR. Okay. So these are the conditions to be approved for a bank loan. Now suppose you have to write code for this. Let's start off with a flowchart first. So if you're making a flowchart and you have to check if a person is above the age of 21, if they're also have at least 10,000 PKR in their bank account, only then you'll approve the loan. Otherwise, you will not approve the loan. Okay. So make a flowchart for this first. You start your program. Then you ask them for an input. So input age, input your income, your bank account balance, and then you move on to decisions. So now for decision, as you know, we make a diamond. Just a second. Okay. So check K if age greater than 21. Suppose age is greater than 21 and this becomes true. So in the yes branch, you then again ask balance has to be greater than 10,000. Again, there's a yes branch, there's a no branch, there's a yes branch here and a no branch here. Okay, so suppose they say yes, I do have a balance greater than 10,000 in my bank account, then you can simply output print loan approved. Suppose they tell you, okay, my age is greater than 21, but my balance is not greater than 10,000. You simply, just a second, okay. You simply output insufficient balance. And suppose your age is not greater than 21, then you simply output age requirement not met, right? So this is a basic flowchart for this program that we're trying to build that says that someone's bank loan will only be approved if they're greater than the age of 21 or if they have bank account balance greater than 10,000. Okay. Now we have the flowchart. How about we convert this to C++ code? Okay, so if we have to convert this to CPP code, again, we need, suppose we have a main function and we're starting off in the main function. So we first take input we declare age and balance variables. And then we take input into age. We also take input into balance. We should also prompt before taking input. That's good practice. Okay, so after we have age and balance stored in our age and balance variables, then we start checking the conditions. So we use an if condition and we say if age greater than 21, then execute this code block, which says that, okay, so now what does this code block say? What does the yes path say? It asks you for another condition. So we ask another condition. So it says if balance is greater than 10,000, and now we are starting another if block. Okay, so essentially agar age is greater than 21, it will enter the if block. If this condition becomes true, it will enter the if block, and now it is faced with another condition that says balance is greater than 10,000. If this condition becomes true, then it will simply see out loan approved. Okay, and the if block ends here. Okay, now suppose that the age is greater than 21, this condition is met, and this condition is met, then it will simply see out loan approved. But if the first condition is met and the second condition is not met, then we go to this branch, right? Using another color, so like we go to the no branch, then this branch. If age is greater than 21 but balance is not greater than 10,000, we go to this branch and we now need to output insufficient balance, right? So for this purpose, we can simply use an else block here. With this if, corresponding to this if, we add an else block that says insufficient balance. Okay, yeah, so this else is now corresponding to this if. These two are corresponding to each other, right? And so we've seen this in the flowchart that if age is greater than 21 and if balance is greater than 10,000, then this will happen. But if age is greater than 21 and balance is not greater than 10,000, then this will happen. And we've mapped this in the else block. This is the if block, right? Okay, now one condition is still left, and that is this, which says that age requirement is not met, which means that this first if condition becomes false. Then we make a corresponding else block for this if condition. Okay. So we can safely end this first if block. We are done with this if block. This yes branch has all been translated to code, right? And now the no branch is left only. And this no branch will now fall into the else section. We simply add else here. And we see out age requirement not met. And this will essentially, we can add a return 0 at the end, and that will essentially end our main function. Okay, I hope this is clear. We've translated this flowchart into this CPP code. We can also look at some coding examples. So let me just open Visual Studio and okay, so we have a piece of code here. What essentially this piece of code is doing is, let's just evaluate this code. Okay, yeah. Okay, this is similar. This is actually the same code that we just wrote in our editor previously. So it says int age, it declares a variable age of type int, and then it declares a variable income with data type double, and it says enter your age, enter your monthly income, and then it checks if age is greater than equal to 21, and if income is greater than equal to 50,000, it says you are eligible for the loan. But if age is greater than equal to 21 and income is not greater than equal to 50,000, it goes to the else block and it says income is too low for loan. If age is greater than equal to 20, no, so if age is not greater than equal to 21, then it goes to this first else block, which says age requirement not met. And if this seems a little confusing, we can run this in the terminal with some examples and see, with some input examples and see how this will work out. Okay, I hope the terminal is visible to everybody. Okay, so I can run this code. It's taking a little bit of time. Okay, so enter your age. Let's say I enter 22 and then enter your monthly income, and suppose I enter 10,000. So technically what should happen is it should go into this if block. This statement becomes true. This statement becomes false. So it should go into this else block, right? Let's see if that happens. See, it prints income too low for loan, which is exactly what we predicted. Now, if for example, I say my age is 17, so it will not, this condition will not be true. So it will automatically go into this else block and say age requirement not met. Let's see if that happens. Suppose I enter like a very large number, it will still tell me, it will tell me age requirement not met. Okay? You can try this with multiple inputs, and in each input you'll see that it will go into the corresponding if block, else block based on the inputs. Okay, so this was all for today. I hope that if statements and flowcharts are clear to you by now. If you still have questions, you can reach out to me or you can drop a comment and let me know.